She read the card again, slowly, carefully, as if the words might change if she gave them enough time. Mr. Emeka Okafor and Miss Mabel Johnson. They didn't change. Lillian lowered the card and now she had a choice. Fall apart or find out why. She chose the second one. The wedding invitation was not the only thing that arrived that week. 3 days later, a document came through her email, clean, formal, from a lawyer she had never heard of. It was a legal separation notice. Emeka was formally dissolving their business partnership. Every shared interest, every collaborative agreement, every contribution she had made to this company, classified, itemized, and released. There was no phone call before it arrived, no conversation, no warning, just a document, just a lawyer's signature, just the quiet efficiency of a man who had been planning this for a long time. 2 days after that, the announcement went public. Emeka Okafor and Mabel Johnson, Lagos power couple, featured in the Business Lifestyle magazine. A full-page photograph, both of them smiling, his hand on her waist, her ring catching the light. People they both knew began sending Lillian messages, some with sympathy, some with curiosity, some, she suspected, with quiet satisfaction. She read every message. She replied to none of them. It didn't just break her heart, he handed it to her enemy. Because there is a kind of pain that doesn't explode. It condenses and becomes something heavier. She sat in her apartment on the charcoal sofa, in the silence, and she did not cry. Not because she was strong, because she was somewhere beyond the place where tears live. She was in the place where questions begin. It started with a date. Lillian had always been precise with numbers. It was part of what made her valuable to his company. And so when she began replaying the timeline in her mind, the numbers did not lie. The magazine features said Emeka and Mabel had been together for 8 months. 8 months. Lillian counted backward. 8 months ago, she was still in recovery, still answering his emails from a hospital bed, still managing his supplier contracts with an IV line in her arm. He had been building something with Mabel while she was still hidden from what she gave him. She thought about the phone call she had overheard 4 months earlier. She had not thought much of it at the time. He had stepped out of the room quickly, said it was a client. She had believed him. She thought about a document she had found on his desk once, a partnership proposal. She had assumed it was the investor he was always chasing. She had filed it away without reading the name at the top. The name at the top. She had never read the name at the top. The questions were no longer questions. They were a pattern, and Lillian knew how to read patterns. She did not open her laptop immediately. She almost did. She sat at the kitchen table, laptop closed in front of her, her hand resting on the lid for 40 minutes. She did not open it, because she knew what was on the other side of that search. There are two kinds of pain in a betrayal. The first is the pain of not knowing. The second is the pain of knowing exactly. The first kind leaves room for doubt, room for maybe it was not what it looked like, room for maybe he did not plan this, room for maybe she had misread everything. The second kind leaves no room at all. Part of her, a smaller part, but real, wanted to stay in the first kind of pain, because the first kind still had him in it, not as he was now, but as he had been. The man at the dinner table who said she was the reason any of it existed. The man who promised. She sat with that for 40 minutes, and then she thought about the scar on her side, the one that had changed her body forever, the one he had looked at once and never mentioned again. She took a breath, because this was the moment, the one where she decided what kind of person she was going to be next. She could close it, tell herself it was impulsive, walk away. But something in her already knew. This didn't feel like a mistake. It felt like a plan. She opened her laptop. She started with the company records she still had access to. In the early days, before the success, before the distance, she had been a signatory on several of the business accounts. He had never formally removed her. Perhaps he had forgotten. Perhaps he had assumed she would never look. She looked. The first thing she found was a transfer. 60 days after the surgery, while she was still recovering, a significant sum had moved from the company's operating account, not to a supplier, not to a creditor, to a holding company registered in a name she did not recognize. She wrote the name down. She searched it. The holding company was registered to a director. The director name wasn't Emeka. It was Mabel. Lillian sat back in her chair. She did not move for a long moment. Then, she wrote that down as well. She kept going. The intellectual property filings came next. 3 of them, concepts she had developed in the early days of the company. A routing optimization system that she had sketched on a napkin at that restaurant. A client onboarding framework she had written in full and handed to him without keeping a copy. A supply chain model she had built over 3 weeks while he was in Abuja, chasing a contract. All 3 had been filed, none of them in her name. The filing dates told the rest of the story. 2 of them were filed before the surgery, while she was still there. While she still trusted him, she thought she had been building a future with him. He had been dismantling her contribution quietly, piece by piece, while she stood beside him believing every word he said. She kept a notepad beside the laptop now. She was no longer reading with her heart. She was reading with her eyes. The last piece was the donation. She had never asked to see how it was recorded. She had not thought to. It was a private arrangement. She had signed the papers, received the compensation, and trusted that it was handled with the discretion they had agreed on. She found the filing buried in the company's legal documentation folder. The kidney donation had been classified not as a personal medical arrangement. It had been classified as a business gift, a voluntary contribution to the company's recovery from a third party, with no legal claim on future proceeds. She read it 3 times, then she read it a 4th time, slowly, word by word, to make sure she had not misunderstood. She had not misunderstood. He had not just moved on. He had not just chosen someone else. He had arranged everything around her sacrifice before she was even out of the hospital. He had classified what she gave him in a way that ensured she could never claim it back. He had made her generosity, her love, disappear on paper. And then, he had taken everything she helped build and walked it across to another woman. Lillian closed the Lego document. She opened a new folder on her desktop. She named it one word: evidence. And she began to feel it. It was past 2 in the morning when she found it. She had been cross-referencing the company's original incorporation documents, the ones from before the success, before the lawyers, before any of this. The documents from the very beginning, when it was just the 2 of them and a company that did not yet know if it would survive. Her name was still there, in the founding shareholder register, before the restructuring, before the new investors, before he had quietly reclassified everything she was to the company. Her name was there. 12% equity, never formally dissolved, never bought out, never removed. He had forgotten. Or he had assumed she would never look this far back. Or he had believed, the way people believe when they underestimate someone, that she would simply go away. Lillian looked at that number for a long time. 12%. 12% of a company now worth considerably more than it was at the beginning. 12% of a company she had helped build. 12% of a company that still carried in its foundations the shape of everything she contributed. She did not smile. She did not celebrate. She simply saved the document, added it to the folder, and closed the laptop slowly. Not anger, not pain, understanding, complete. He didn't just leave her. He planned his exit while she was saving him. And in doing so, he made one mistake. He forgot she was there at the beginning. Lillian sat in the dark of her apartment, the city outside still breathing its midnight sounds. The laptop closed on the table in front of her. She was not the same woman who had opened it. That woman had still been hoping, somewhere underneath the questions, that she had misread everything, that there was an explanation, that the man she had given a piece of her life to was not capable of this. That woman was now gone. In her place was someone quieter, clearer, someone who had stopped feeling the edges of the wound and started measuring its depth instead. Emeka had built his future on the assumption that Lillian would grieve and disappear. He did not know her as well as he thought he did. She picked up her phone. She found the number of the best corporate lawyer she knew. She did not call. She saved a voice note instead. 7 words. I need to talk to you tomorrow. He forgot she was there at the beginning. He was about to remember. If you are just discovering this story, part 1 is already out. It tells you everything Lillian gave up, and the moment she realized what it cost her. The link is in the description. In part 3, the price he never expected to pay is coming because Lillian is not finished. She is just getting started. If this story is speaking to you, subscribe to Life Stories with the Innocent. And before you go, drop 1 word in the comments, just 1 word. What do you think Emeka deserves?